Hello everyone, I'm Yazan Ibrahim, or as some of you might know me, Yazan Abu Ghosh. Today we're going to dive into a fascinating and essential topic. Fraud Examiners, Section 3, Investigation 3.6, Sources of Information. Today's deep dive into the world of fraud investigation. Whether you're an aspiring fraud investigator, a business owner, or simply curious about how organizations manage their finances, or if you are auditor, this journey will shed light on the often complex systems that drive decision making. Imagine embarking on a fascinating journey into the world of fraud examination, a topic vital for ensuring transparency, accountability, and justice. In this video, we'll explore how the art and science of fraud investigation rely on mastering the use of documents, records, and other evidence to uncover hidden truths. We'll break down complex topics, navigate through detailed examples, and unpack critical legal frameworks, all while keeping the story engaging and clear. Fraud detection begins with documents, the cornerstone of every investigation. Think of these as puzzle pieces scattered across a vast table, where each file, order form, or financial record contributes to solving a bigger mystery. Documents are essential because they can prove whether fraud has occurred, reveal its nature and scope, and identify who is responsible for the wrongdoing. Internal documents like accounting records and personnel files often provide the starting point. Picture an investigator poring over ledgers, spotting discrepancies, and tracing patterns that don't add up. These records are like footprints in the sand, leading directly to the suspect. However, when internal access becomes complicated, legal steps, such as obtaining consent or court orders, may be necessary to truly get to the heart of the matter. When internal avenues don't suffice, investigators turn outward to external sources. External records are invaluable for tracking missing assets, tying suspects to external entities like vendors or competitors, or even scrutinizing their financial lifestyle. For instance, you might uncover a lavish property suddenly acquired by a suspect far beyond their apparent means. External sources include a wide array of both public and non-public records, from court and property filings to social media activities or proprietary databases that offer a glimpse into hidden financial ventures. Imagine scrolling through social media and stumbling upon public photos of expensive vacations or luxury purchases, clues that point to mismatched financial realities. This brings us to the critical factor that underpins every step of fraud examination: legality. The importance of obtaining evidence legally cannot be overstated. In the United States, for example, evidence obtained unlawfully is often inadmissible due to the exclusionary rule, a mechanism that ensures fairness in legal proceedings. However, the rules may vary globally. In English courts, evidence obtained improperly may still see the light of day if deemed necessary for justice, whereas Australia weighs the severity of misconduct against the gravity of the evidence needed. These nuances underscore why fraud examiners must always navigate within the bounds of the law, ensuring that investigations remain legitimate and fair. Let's zoom in on accessing public records, an investigator's goldmine. These records, managed by government authorities, are freely accessible in most cases. They include court records, corporate filings, and property ownership documents, all of which can reveal vital details such as legal disputes, ownership transfers, or financial indicators. However, accessing these often requires precise information. Full names, dates of birth, or government-issued identification numbers help ensure that search results yield accurate and actionable insights. For example, did you know that simply having prior aliases, known relatives, or old addresses can unlock additional pathways to critical evidence hidden within these databases? Each detail widens the investigative lens, enabling professionals to dive deeper and more effectively. Non-public records, on the other hand, require more finesse. These are private and confidential, often protected by laws and regulations, accessible only with consent, subpoenas, or warrants. Imagine the delicate balance an investigator must strike when pursuing company financials or scrutinizing a suspect's bank accounts. This type of evidence is vital, but comes with stringent compliance demands. Disclosing such information improperly could land the investigator in legal hot water, making adherence to privacy laws and explicit permissions essential at every step. The legal landscape surrounding fraud investigation isn't just complex, It's dynamic and region-specific. Take, for example, the European Union's GDPR regulations, which impose strict rules on data handling and restrict access to personal records without proper consent. Similarly, Canada's PIPEDA and Privacy Act mandate that investigators tread carefully when dealing with personal data in both public and private sectors, particularly in fields such as healthcare and finance. Meanwhile, in the United States, state-level laws like California's CCPA provide individuals with strong privacy rights, requiring investigators to navigate additional hurdles to retrieve data legally. Now, let's broaden the vista to include local records, treasures of information hiding in plain sight. Building records, health department inspections, voter registrations, and even utility records provide a unique window into the lives of individuals or corporations. For instance, a deeper dive into building permits might reveal unexplained property additions linked to unreported wealth, while health department reports can confirm ownership of a business operating discreetly, a piece of the fraud puzzle. Remember, accessibility varies widely due to jurisdictional privacy laws, and investigators often need to dig across multiple local and national archives to piece together actionable intelligence. Court records are another valuable component of fraud investigations. Civil cases, for instance, shed light on disputes involving businesses and creditors, tracing the financial relationships between entities. Probate records outline the distribution of assets posthumously, while bankruptcy filings reveal the true financial status of individuals and organizations alike. Criminal court records, on the other hand, capture not only convictions but also filings, even if no verdict was reached, providing insights into behaviors or past allegations that might inform an investigation. However, these records may not always be centralized, requiring investigators to search across local and national levels for a comprehensive view. And what about real property records? These detail the ownership and financial history of assets, often giving fraud examiners a clear snapshot of an individual's financial position. Mortgage data, lien holder information, and title transfers can uncover discrepancies in wealth declarations. For instance, if a suspect is tied to properties under complex legal structures, these records often serve as a key to understanding hidden financial dealings. Real property records, like all investigative tools, require patience, persistence, and care to piece together effectively. In closing, fraud examination is as much an art as it is a science. It's about connecting dots, navigating complex regulatory landscapes, and constantly adapting investigative methods to uncover the truth. By leveraging both public and non-public information, even as privacy laws evolve, fraud examiners play a vital role in ensuring that justice prevails. Through adherence to legal frameworks and a relentless pursuit of the truth, they bring order to the chaos of fraudulent activity. Now let's move to bedrock of investigations: real property records. Real estate records are more than just dusty files in some municipal office. They are treasure troves of information that can unearth undisclosed income, secret relationships, and hidden assets. Picture this. If someone has a primary residence that screams modest living, but then, under their name or alias, is a vacation home at the beach, that discrepancy alone signals questions worth pursuing. Property records can detail not just ownership, but also an elaborate dance of transactions, like mortgages, liens, and even unusual lease arrangements. Investigators use these details to detect patterns. Is there a surge of properties owned by someone who otherwise reports low income? Does a chain of transactions indicate concealment or asset laundering activities? Beyond this, we delve into the broad spectrum of key property records. First, there are land registry records, which house elemental data like deeds, mortgages, and liens. They even expand into niche records like land cadastres, which provide geographic insights and describe property values. By scrutinizing these, investigators can build a layered understanding of what individuals or companies are claiming ownership over. Then there's another layer: court-related property records, including certified court decrees and probate wills, an investigative pathway into the legal entanglements surrounding assets or debts. Even more readily accessible is the goldmine of property tax records, which can, in a sense, whistle-blow on delinquent payments or set up anomalies that reveal past and current taxpayers, giving a detailed financial history trail. In the labyrinth of fraud detection, having access to the right sources is crucial. There are modern database vendors who offer richly detailed property-related feeds, but investigators must always tread carefully here. Jurisdictional reliability and accuracy of records can vary drastically. On the flip side, local tax assessor offices hold intimate maps and improvement records on properties that add critical layers to any analysis. Imagine the detective piecing together these fragments to track down hidden wealth or unconventional dealings. Transitioning our focus, let's dive into business filings, where investigators trace an entity's origins and its operations beyond the surface. Think of these records as the entity's footprint in time. The organizational filings dive into who set up the company, when, where, and with how much stock. By pulling these details, fraud examiners can check key names against other filings, often unraveling entire networks of control and influence. For example, tracing back to the foreign corporation registrations can uncover cross-border business operations, a sure-shot way to spot efforts aimed at obfuscation. Even a seemingly simple doing business as DBA filing can act as a revelation. Imagine peeling back a company's sleek outward image to find hidden owners operating under different guises. Tax filings also come into the spotlight. While corporate tax returns are private, public companies provide insights in their financial filings, like 10-Ks submitted to the SEC. These can be pivotal as they reveal partner companies, major debtors, or questionable expenditures. Adding to this, government agency records hold a vast spectrum of clues: voter registrations, personal property tax returns, voter rolls, and this is just scratching the surface. Every line, every item holds the potential to lead you to unravel layers of misreporting or fraud. The scene becomes ever more engrossing with records of secured transactions, an overlooked yet fascinating cornerstone of fraud investigations. These are essentially commercial filings that indicate loans or financing collateralized by a business or individual's assets. As boring as they may sound, the depth of information from debtor names to pledged property is staggering. They illustrate who owes money to whom and what was pledged to secure that relationship. Stepping deeper, cross-comparing this data can expose patterns. Why do certain financial obligations repeat or spike? Is someone leveraging their business's financial health unrealistically? Common law countries like the US use the UCC at the state level to house many such filings, ensuring accessibility, whereas civil law jurisdictions offer less transparency. Throughout, we see how jurisdictional frameworks can either empower or shield fraudulent undertakings. Further down this fascinating road lies regulatory securities records, publicly filed by entities dealing in markets. Securities filings are essentially blueprints of a corporation's inner workings. Auditor reports major stockholders, transaction details about business property. In the US, EDGAR, the SEC's electronic database, is accessible and critical to anyone drafting an airtight fraud case. These records have the power to untangle hidden relationships and check discrepancies across published data. While public records form the bulk of investigations, non-public records can be where life-altering discoveries are made. A major focus of any investigation is bank and credit records, deeply private yet telling repositories of behavior. Typically accessible only by subpoena or legal order, these records give rare behind-the-scenes glimpses, patterns of deposits and withdrawals, account opening data, or why wire transfers symptomize financial mischief, often linking shell entities to the real individuals behind them. Think of it as zooming in on the invisible ink on a letter. It was always there, just waiting for the right light. Phone or credit card records take this dig even deeper. Did an executive's phone suddenly light up with activity during significant company shifts? Did someone's credit card spending impossibly outpace their listed earnings? These trails tell intricate stories that connect people, places, and motives. Finally, as investigations evolve with digital resources, the power of online tools cannot be underestimated. From Google to specialized meta search tools like Carrot 2, the internet offers endless investigative resources. But data retrieved is only as reliable as its interpretation. which underscores the intersection between solid searching techniques and advanced operators. So, as learners, take this journey in stride. The tools may seem varied and vast, but they all lead to a singular goal: the unveiling of truth, no matter where it hides. Whether uncovering fraudulent relationships, locating elusive assets, or simply verifying records, every investigative step holds meaning. Remember, knowledge enriches your toolkit, and your diligence determines your success. Thank you for watching, and as always, continue learning, stay curious, and we'll see you next video.